Okay, students, so today we're going to talk about a next weldment. We are going to start doing some out of position welding. And so for our next weld, you're going to need your X, you're going to need your X, and you're also going to need to do something with your table. You're going to need to do something with your table. So you're going to remove your ground clamp, get it out of the way, set it someplace where it's out of the way. Okay. Now, underneath the table, there's a clamp that will twist the table, and you can either slide the table off, and you've got a clamp right here that you want to put up to the top so that you can take your X and slide it in here so that you are welding in a vertical position. In a vertical position, and then you want to rotate your table so that you're welding in a true vertical position. And then tighten everything down. Well, Mr. Clark, this is pretty low. Also back here at the back of your table, there's also a clamp back here that you can loosen this. And now let me move my ground cable over here and clamp it off here, that you can raise this and tighten this clamp up back here. And again, make sure that it's tight. So now it's at whatever height you want it to. That's going to be a little high for me. I'm going to lower it down to about right there. And make sure that it's it's pretty tight. So you've got a set screw here, you got a set screw here, and a set screw here. Right? A lot of times the weight of the table is going to lean here, and if you don't get it tight back here, the weight of the table leaning forward will kind of hold it in place. But if you start bumping it, it will move. So it's important to kind of grab the table and kind of lift up. And I'm lifting up and twisting back here to make sure that this is snug. Right? And then again, twisting on the table and turning it in such a way that I'm set up in a good 2G vertical position. All right, and I can push this wherever I'm comfortable. Okay, set up your weldment so that you're in a good, comfortable 2G position, vertical position. Set that X up so you're in a good vertical position. All right, and you can even put that set screw right where it's kind of on the end there. And we're welding from the handle out. Okay, so remember, you've got your table, flip your table over, set it on inside your clamp here, and then you've got your height adjustment back here at the back that you can set it up or down. We're welding with 7018, 3/30 seconds. When we're welding in the 1G, again, our electrode is 90 degrees, and then about 10 to 15 degrees, 90 degrees, about 10 to 15 degrees in direction of travel. That really doesn't change when I go to the 2G. I'm still going to keep that electrode perpendicular to my weld and about 10 to 15 degrees in direction of travel, and I'm simply going to drag that electrode in the direction I want it to go. What typically happens is students tend to follow down and this portion fills up rather than, again, filling up evenly. Again, imagine that we've got this side filled up and this side filled up, and we're flat, we're filling it up with water. We want this to fill up as evenly as possible, all the welds coming out together. I don't want too many welds coming off the top, too many welds coming off the bottom. I want it to fill up as evenly as possible, all the welds coming off just like I'm in the 1G position, right? So if you're welding and all of a sudden you've got 2 or 3 welds coming off the bottom or 2 or 3 welds coming off the top and they're not coming level, you're not maintaining a consistency of welds as they're coming across, then you're getting out of position and you're not following the toe of the previous weld. So you've got to follow the toe of that previous weld, okay? So I'm going to start at the top here, and I'm going to follow the toe of that weld that I just laid, and I'm going to drag it across here, and then I'm going to clean it, and then I'm going to follow the toe of that weld, and then the toe of that weld. Then I'm going to start back at the top and just continue to fill it up, dragging it until it fills completely up. Okay? So let's put on some gloves. Let's grab an electrode holder, and let's see what we can do. Again, you want to get yourself comfortable because, again, this is going to take about 45 to 60 seconds to do. And we want to lay nice, consistent beads as we're welding. Again, 330 seconds, 7018, and so we want to lay nice beads. Here we go with our first bead. So we'll cover up, we're going to strike our arc, establish our arc, and just run a nice, steady pace. Watching what that weld throttle does. Not letting the slag get ahead of us in any way. Remember, you are in control of the lightsabers, young Jedis. Get to the end, a little circle back up over the top. There you go. Into the rod bucket. I notice a lot of you students are keeping your rod buckets up here. I tend to keep mine down on the ground. You see it right there, okay? That way when I'm done, that's where I drop my electrode, right there in the bucket so it's out of the way. Just a nice little chipping right here. Don't worry what the slag looks like. I really don't care what the slag looks like. I'm more interested in what that bead looks like. I want consistency of bead. I want nice straight beads. There shouldn't be any difference between the 1G and the 2G. It should be no difference in how that weld looks if I'm welding vertical or horizontal. Okay? Now, I'm going to come in at the bottom of that toe that I just laid, the bottom toe, and just drag that electrode right across the bottom of that toe, overlapping those two welds, just like I would do if I was welding in the 1G position. All right? So, here we go, ladies and gentlemen. And again, taking your time, making sure that you're getting complete fusion, that the weld is doing
what it's supposed to. You don't have too much of an arc length.
Okay. Again, right there in my rod bucket. Again, slag coming off pretty easy. And you notice I'm not beating again. I'm not beating on this thing. When I hear some of you in there, boy, it's like you're framing a house or something. I'm like, oh my goodness, I got to get my hearing protection. Just because some of you are just, it's like, oh man. Now I'm just going to run 3 beads for you to kind of give you an idea of what this looks like. All right. You're watching, ladies and gentlemen. By now, you should know what your discontinuities are. You should be watching for them. Okay. I'm going to push this over a little bit. I don't know if you'll be able to see it a little better. Yeah, you can see it a little bit better. Okay, you zoom in a little bit. I don't know if you zoom in with your camera or not, with your screen or not. You see my first 2 passes. This is my first pass here. This is my second pass. I'm coming in with my third one right here on this toe right here. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, this is what I mean when I'm talking about stacking beads, all right? 1 pass, 2 pass, and when you see my third pass, this is going to be the final pass that you see. Okay, final pass that you see. Right here. All right, and that's what's going to give my weld the strength that it needs. All right. Okay. And again, rod angle, pushing it into the weld about 10 to 15 degrees in direction of travel. Again, don't get wrapped up around that 10 to 15 degrees or whatever. You should be able to watch and see what's happening right here. You need to be able to see what's happening. If you can't see what's happening right here, give it a little bit more lean. Okay? Just a little bit, not too much, but just enough where you can watch where that electrode's going, what that puddle is doing. You should be able to read it. If you can't see that puddle washing and following this line right here, if you can't see that puddle following that line, then something's wrong. Then something's wrong. And you need to clean your lens. You need to get some glasses. You need to do something. But you have to be able to watch that puddle as it follows this line, because this is what I'm talking about. This is the part of the weld that I'm talking about. You have to be able to see, follow that line right there. All right. There we go. Let's see if Mr. Shaky Mr. Old Clark can follow it.
And we're following it right along, able to see what's going on here. All the way to the make sure you're coming off the end.
And again, right in my rod bucket. Clean my slag off. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to get my cheater because I want this cleaned up nice and clean so you guys can see. And it needs a new battery. Definitely needs a new battery. Okay. But ladies and gentlemen, focus, focus, focus. Okay, but that's what it should be looking like. Okay. All right. So let me take my gloves off, get my little pointer here. So this is my final bead. This is my final bead right here. You see the two previous beads above it. See the two previous beads above it. All right. And so that's what it should be looking like. One, okay, and then two other beads above it. Now I'm going to come up here and I'm going to start again up here. Set my other bead up on top. Set my other bead up on top, and then just start stacking them again, all the way down, all the way down, all the way down. This is what it should look like. This is your next weldment. Okay, so you have your first weldment, your second weldment. This is the third quadrant on this cross. This is the third quadrant on this cross. All right, ladies and gentlemen, this is what we'll be working on next. If you got any questions, send me an email. I'll see you in the booth. This is Clark. I'm out.